my lovelies, and welcome to another video on my channel. Thank you very much for joining me today as always. This video is going to be about creating this mani here. So this is my mani for New Year's Eve 2022 coming into 2023. I really wanted to do something a little bit glittery, a little bit sparkly, something, you know, for New Year's Eve. So I would like to thank two of my favorite YouTubers as well for the inspiration. So Courtney Crosby for the inspiration for the fireworks, and Miss Jo's Nail Co for the champagne flutes. So I will put their links to their channels in the description box below, just in case you don't follow them. They're both very talented and they have some beautiful, beautiful art. So I'll pop those in the description box. In terms of everything I used today, it's predominantly Madame Glam, not entirely, but quite a lot of it is. So the black background is King's Choice. This came in one of the Madame Glam advent calendars 3 years ago, I think, from memory. And this is the black background. So it's quite a translucent black and it's got flecks of glitter in it. I'm hoping the camera is going to pick up that glitter. It is very, very fine. You can't feel the glitter at all. It's all in the polish. This is a very translucent black. You will need multiple coats of it, and just be warned, it is a very runny, very thin consistency gel polish. So just keep that in mind when you're applying it, and just make sure you do thin coats so that it doesn't run into your cuticle and sidewalls and wherever else it wants to go. The gel paints I actually used 3. So the white is Snow White by Mosaic. I've had this for absolute donkey's years, that one. The other two, the silver and the gold gel paints, are both from Madame Glam. And I also used the Velvet Matte top coat because I wanted the black to be matte so that the glittery art stood out really well on top of it. You will also need to bring your own brushes because none of the gel paints are going to come with brushes. I actually used, several detailer brushes, but you'll only need 2 different types of brushes. So I used a flat brush, this one here that I reserve for my glitter polishes. I used that for my little finger and my index finger, and then I used detailer brushes for the gel paints for the artwork. Because I've got multiple detailer brushes, I did use 3 so that I didn't have to keep swapping my brushes. Cleaning my brushes between the colours. If you've only got 1, that's fine. Just be aware that you will need to clean your brush between the gel paint colours so that you don't cross-contaminate your pots. You'll also need a dotting tool. I used the thinnest dotting tool, the smallest head that I've got. If you're a bit like me and you often need to fix up little things or remove things, then you'll need a clean-up brush of some sort and a bit of isopropyl alcohol in a dappen dish. I also used my mixing palette. You don't necessarily need this. I did use it. You could equally use a lint-free wipe. Every now and again, when I had a little too much gel paint on my detailer brush, I would just use my palette to just wipe off the excess. So it is handy if you've got something there that you can use, but a lint-free wipe is going to do exactly the same thing. So I have a feeling, I think this is probably going to be my last video upload for 2022. So I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody that has supported my YouTube channel over the last year, whether you've subscribed, whether you've liked one or more of my videos, left a comment. I would just like to thank you very much for your support in whatever form that came. And I hope you all have a very happy 2023. And that being said, let's get into it. So I think I forgot to mention it in the intro, you will need some sort of base coat or base layer down first. So either put down a gel polish base coat or builder gel, polygel, acrylic, whatever it is that you use, but you will need something down on your nail before you go in with the colour. So here I'm just going in with my first coat of the colour polish I'm using today, which is King's Choice. So this is quite a translucent black. This is not a highly pigmented black. So you will definitely need multiple layers of this, unless you're going for a particularly sheer look. But otherwise you will need to put down at least 2 or 3 layers of this. As I think I did mention in the intro, this is a very thin consistency gel polish. So you want to make sure you don't have too much on your brush, because it will pull very easily and quickly into your cuticle area and your sidewalls. So as you can see there, I've got hardly any polish on my brush and I'm having to turn my brush over. but that was because I'd sort of learnt, I'd done my right hand first and realized just how thin this gel polish is. So there's no worries in doing multiple coats, just keep them thin and it's all good. You will also get a very nice consistent coating over your nail doing it that way as well. Gel polishes that are very thin in consistency and can run. If you put too thick a layer on, you end up with quite a patchy look on your nails, because in some areas it will be thicker than others. So you want to make sure you go in with a very thin layer. And you can do that 3 or 4 times, or as many times as you need to get the opacity you want. Because you're doing thin coats, it's not really a big deal at all. So here I'm just going in with my second layer. That one I did cure for 30 seconds, just because I had done put down, God, where are my words today? Because I had put down such a sheer coat. So when I do my second coat, I actually put that in the lamp and I cure it for 60 seconds, which is common for me for black, dark reds, any of those darker shades. Even if it says to cure it for 30 seconds, I generally do a double cure just to be on the safe side. The other thing, you want to make sure not to do thick coats with black, because it can wrinkle in the lamp. So that is the same for any strong colors, the blacks, the dark reds, and white as well. You don't want to do that too thickly either. So here I'm just going in, if I could get the lid off my bottle, which would have been helpful, with my velvet matte top coat, because I wanted, even though this is a sparkly polish, I wanted it to have a matte look, because basically what it does is it gives you like a sort of a nighttime sky backdrop when you do it with, when you cure this with a matte gel polish or a matte top coat. It gives it that sort of starry night as a backdrop, and I wanted the details to be shiny, so that's my fireworks and my glass of champagne. So I wanted the background to be matte, which is why I've gone in with the velvet matte top coat. And I do the same thing on my thumb. I just do that off camera until we come to do the fireworks. I think I left that footage in, but in terms of putting the color down, I just cut it out of the video because you've seen 2 nails. I think that's probably enough. So here I'm just going in. I've got my gel paints all lined up for me. I have actually got a detailer brush for each of the colors. If you haven't got that, don't worry, but you will just need to clean off your brush as you work between the different colored gel paints, that's all. So I'm just coming in with my outline for my champagne glass. I had never done this design before, and thank you to Miss Jo's Nail Co, because I had a look at one of her videos that she'd done. I think that may have been last year as well, and use that for some guidance and inspiration. She did a lovely design with, it was actually 2 champagne glasses clinking, which just looked amazing. But of course, she'd done that on the tips, and the tips are much bigger real estate than to work with. I've actually got quite small nail beds and not particularly long nails, so it's not, I don't have as much real estate as if you've got like a nice big nail tip. But I'll put that link in the video in the description box as well, because her design is just beautiful. I just loved it, but I didn't have the real estate, or probably, to be quite honest, the skill either. She's a very talented at freehand nail art, and I'm just not. But I did use her video as a basis, so thank you, Miss Jo. Every time you see, actually, one thing to mention, normally when I do designs and things, you'll have seen me a lot of time on my channel doing flash cure between the various colors. When you see my hand dart off to the left, I'm actually doing a full cure. I didn't do any flash curing for this design at all. Everything I did when I cured it was a full cure. So yes, it did take me longer, but I'm actually really glad I did it. And the reason I do that is because I'm always concerned when I come to do freehand nail art, I'm always worried that I'm going to mess it up, basically. And if you've just freeze cured something, it does a great job of leaving the gel polish in its place, so it won't run, it won't go anywhere. But if you then do sort of a design around it nearby, mess it up and have to remove it with some isopropyl alcohol, that gel that you freeze cured, because it's not fully cured, it can wrinkle if it comes into contact with your isopropyl alcohol. And that's obviously not what I wanted doing this design, because if I was going to cure it, that's exactly how I wanted it to be, thinking that I probably couldn't replicate it if I really tried. So every time you see my hand dart off, it's actually gone in for a full cure. And all of these gel paints are a 60-second cure. So in the long run, it did take a bit longer, but like here is a classic example. I was actually really glad that I'd done that because I went a little bit over with my gold, and it didn't really matter because I could just wipe it off my white without causing any wrinkling or any issues because it was fully cured. So it's a good tip to keep in mind if you are concerned that you might make a mistake, you might need to remove some of your work. Just make sure that the bit you're happy with is fully cured before you go back in. And now I'm just coming in. I just did some champagne with my gold gel paint, and I thought, oh, it just needs to look like it's got a little bit of sparkle and interest around it. So I've just used that very fine end of that dotting tool, and I'm just putting a few little gold dots around it. I didn't want anything big. I just wanted like sort of twinkly night sky sort of background. So the gold gel paint does a really nice job of that. And here I'm coming in to do the fireworks. So I put my white down first, and I use that to sort of basically create my background for the fireworks. There's a lot of overlapping when you do fireworks. As you know, when you sort of watch them, there's a lot of colour and explosions and stuff going everywhere. So there's really no great particular method to this. It's really just a case of sort of start somewhere fairly central and make sure your lines aren't straight, because fireworks of course sort of flare outwards and then sort of drop down. So you just want to make sure that your lines aren't straight and they're just sort of flowing as fireworks do. And the bottom part, so the fireworks sort of coming down the nail, sort of following gravity if you like, I do longer than the fireworks that explode sort of upwards, because they don't end up being quite so long. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going in until I'm happy with that. Then I cured that for a full 60 seconds. And now I'm going in with the gold gel paint. And I'm sort of doing this reasonably haphazard. Sometimes I'm going over the top of the white, sometimes I'm not. At the end of it, you don't want too much of the white showing through. It's not like you see a lot of white in fireworks. So it makes a nice background. It gives a nice bright sort of backdrop for the gold and the silver, but I really wanted the gold and silver to dominate. So I do cover up a lot of the white, but because the gold and the silver is going over the top of white, they become super vibrant. So they really do stand out quite a lot. Which is, yeah, that's the look I was going for. So I was really quite happy with the way that these turned out. It actually took me a lot less time to do them as well. When I sort of had my inspiration, I sat down and, you know what I'm like with freehand nail art, and I just think, oh no, I really wasn't quite sure how it would go, but I think the stars were just aligning for me today, unlike the last money that I posted where I was having a few issues. This one just went really well. I think there was only one bit that I started with my thumb and thought, no, I want to remove that and start again. But other than that, it all just seemed to go really well. So that was really nice. And then that went in for a full 60-second cure as well. And I would definitely do that when you're layering colours. I would definitely do a full cure before you put another layer on the top, because you really want to make sure that each layer is fully cured. Yes, it will save you time if you flash cure and then put the other colour on the top. But I just think it's safer to do a full cure. If you know you're going to be overlapping colours, I just think it's safer to do that. You're less likely to cause yourself issues or allergies and things. And unfortunately, I think this does go out of focus a couple of times because it was sort of trying to focus on my brush rather than the design. So, but I think it does come back most of the time quite quickly. So apologies for when it does sort of drop out a little bit there. And here I'm just going in, very similar to the I did on my champagne nail. I'm just going in with my dotting tool, the smallest dotting tool I have. And I'm just going in initially with some gold. Then I'm wiping off my dotting tool and I'm going in with the silver. So I just sort of rotate. And this sort of combines a bit of a look of, you know, sort of starry in the background, but also those little bits of firework that sort of float around. You know the ones I mean, the ones that just kind of shoot off a little bit. So it sort of just looks a little bit like that. And then that went in the lamp for 60 seconds as well. And none of those need top coating because the black has already been top coated with the velvet top coat. and those gel paints do not need to be top coated, so all of them cure without a tacky layer, which is great. One of the nice bonuses of working with the gel paints. So because I've got a little bit more real estate on my thumb than on my fingers, I'm going in with 2 fireworks on this nail. But I'm pretty sure this is the one that I start and I just think, no, it just looks, I don't know, it just looks like a Wookiee gone wrong or something. So yeah, I just wipe it and go, no, need to start again. Which, you know, as we've said before, the beauty of gel polish, you can do that up until the point that you cure it. Just grab a bit of isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free wipe, and away you go. I think I was trying to save it at this point, and then I just get to a point where I'm just like, no, that's just not happening. I spent longer trying to save it than I remembered. But yeah, it just kind of looks like a spider gone wrong, or like, you know, a Wookiee that's just out of control or something. I don't know. It just wasn't looking particularly like a firework, so that got the boot. So a bit of alcohol, lint-free wipe, and it's gone. So at that point, I also removed the excess gel polish from my brush. Sometimes if your detailer brush gets too saturated with color, it can cause you problems as well. You sort of lose a bit of flexibility in your brush. It doesn't quite handle the way that you need it to, apart from the fact that, you know, you can have just a bit too much polish on there as well. I had a bit of dust there, so I just wiped that off as well. So sometimes it's a good idea if you're doing a lot of sort of detail stuff like this, every now and again, just go in with a wipe and just take the gel polish off your brush and start again. And generally it's like this time, it was fine after that point. So, because I'd done all my nails on my other hand plus the other 2 nails, so the brush was pretty well saturated at that point. Oh, see, that was nearly very bad. Nearly put the wrong one in the wrong pot. That wouldn't have been very good. Didn't want my white gel polish in my silver. That would not be good. So as I said, I'm doing 2 on this nail because I do have a little bit more real estate. So I've gone for 1 at the top right hand corner on the cuticle side, and then bottom left at the free edge as well. So that's one thing always to keep in mind when you see all these lovely designs and things. And I always think, oh, that looks amazing and so detailed. But then, of course, you know, if it's on a tip or a ColourPop, something like that, it's a lot more real estate to play with than what you have on your natural nail, depending on the length of your nails, of course. But for myself, my nail beds are quite narrow and my nails aren't particularly long. So it's enough to do certain artwork. But yeah, some of the really intricate or busy designs I can't really do because I just haven't got enough room to play with. But that's okay, because, you know, generally I do stamping anyway, because I've only sort of recently done more freehand than I've done for a long time, actually. So it's been quite good. It's been a bit of fun. I really did enjoy doing this, Manny. It was good fun. I think probably because it's New Year's and fireworks and champagne, it's all good stuff, all nice and cheerful things. So I really did enjoy this one. It was good. So I'm basically doing exactly the same thing on this nail that I did on my middle finger. So I went in with the white to begin with, decided to get that out of the way just before I do dip my brush into the wrong thing. And then I go in with the gold on top. Similarly, sometimes I cover the white, sometimes I don't. So basically it just ends up with a hint of white in the background and the silver and gold dominating, particularly the gold, because I knew I wanted to do gold on my index finger and my little finger. So I wanted the fireworks to have more gold than silver, but I just wanted them to have a nice sparkle, which was the main thing that I was trying to achieve. And of course, having the matte background helps that as well, because your shiny then stands out that much more on a matte background than on a shiny one. So that went off into the lamp for 60 seconds, and now I'm just coming in with my silver, which is the last colour that I use for the fireworks. So I don't know what you guys have got planned for New Year's Eve. I hope whatever you do, you have a lovely night. And yeah, great start to 2023. I can't believe it's going to be 2023 already. I have no idea where this last year has gone, but anyway, blink of an eye and a year passed by. It's amazing. So yes, I have to come up with some new ideas for some new designs into the new year. So I wonder what new techniques and things will be discovered in 2023. Wonder what will be trending, you know, a bit like those comic nails or the bubble nails, things like that. Wonder what will come out for next year. Always love to see what's trending in the new year. So now I'm just going to go in and finish off the thumb with a few dots in the gold and then finally in the silver as well. And again, no top coat required for this nail. So yeah, they're really nice, and this set was really nice and quick. I was surprised. It's a lot quicker than I anticipated it to be. And oh, this, I have to say, this did feel very, very decadent. It was a little bit luxurious. I did go in, I was going to use one of my other golds and one of my other palettes, and the gold was similar, but it just wasn't spot on. And I really, just because I think it was New Year's and I was really happy with the way my fireworks and my champagne turned out, I just wanted this set to be like just schmicko and 100%. And I knew the only way I was going to do that is to use exactly the same gold. I'm not sure what happened there. I seem to get like a little bit of orangey sort of color pigment. It's almost like that part of the paint had sort of, what's the word I want? Yeah, separated. So I just went in basically with a spatula and I just mixed up my paint to make sure it was well mixed once again. Yeah, so the good, and you know, you can use, there's nothing stopping you from using a gel paint as you would a polish. There's nothing stopping you doing that at all, because, and in many ways it's a really handy thing to do because they're very, very heavily pigmented, much more pigmented than a gel polish is. So you really actually don't use very much. And I've had this pot for ages and it looks like I've barely touched it because, you know, generally I don't use too much of it. So, and they're 5, what size are they? They are 5 mils in size. And yeah, as I said, I've had it for ages. It has lasted me a very long time. And you don't really need very much on here because they are so opaque. And that was pretty much this mani done once I popped that in the lamp and cured it for 60 seconds. So again, just do a nice even coat. Make sure you're happy with your placement. There's no running of this polish or anything like that. So it's going to sit exactly where you place it. So just make sure you're happy with your placement before you pop it in the lamp. I think I went in with a little bit more just to get the side walls completely done. And that's it for this mani. So once that's done, I'm going to cure it for 60 seconds. I will show you the final result. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. As I mentioned before, thank you so much for your support throughout 2022. I really do appreciate it, for everyone that has subscribed to my channel, liked my videos and commented. I really do love it and I really do appreciate your support. So thank you very much indeed. I hope you are all safe. I hope you are all well, and I wish you all a very, very happy new year. Take care and I'll see you next year. Bye.